Namaskar. I'm Kumar Rakesh and you're watching Global Governance News TV. Today we are going to discuss the global leader PM Narendra Modi and Bharat before and after. You know, just when Narendra Modi was became Prime Minister in 2014. But before that, our eminent writer, journalist, and now national spokesperson Sudesh Burma had written the book, The Game Changer Modi. Not after coming power, so many writers wrote about him. But before coming power, I think to the 12 and 13, he wrote a book, The Game Changer. And now you can see the globally how the game changer word adopted by the so many publications, so many programs, and so many media fronts. So we'll discuss today. Before that, going to just intro about the Narendra Modi. I'll read the latest rating about Narendra Modi, and after that, we'll just start the program. So just I welcome Dr. Vivek Kaul from Oxford, London, Sudesh Vermaji, National Spokesperson BJP, Alok Laharji, Senior Journalist from Spain, and Ajay Sharmaji, just intellectual said BJP and uh, associate the big organization for the businessman assistant secretary general. So all aspects will be covered, and later soon, two or three our panelists will join accordingly. So just you see just recently, this is a matter of the 2nd September, not today is 18th, and yesterday we just greeted Narendra Modi ji for his 71st birthday. So and long live Narendra Modi. We wish just to our Prime Minister, global leader, as I always say. I am just going the intro about the Modi ji. The PM Modi approval rating was at peak at 84% in May 2020, just after the outbreak of pandemic in India.
Please don't
I
make
think,
sound.
pardon, uh, voice is now okay?
It's
Now
okay for
okay?
me. Okay
Okay?
for me at least.
Yeah, it's
Sudesh
okay.
ji?
It's okay. Cool.
Thank you,
Cool,
thank
cool.
you, thank you. Just we're talking about the approval rating. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi has an approval rating of now 70%, which is the highest among the 13 global leaders polled in the survey conducted by the Morning Consult. In the survey updated on September 2nd, PM Modi is ahead of the Mexican president and is Manuel Lopez Obrador, Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi, German Chancellor Angela Merkel, US President Joe Biden. The list has included the Australian PM Scott Morrison, Canada PM Trudeau, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro, and etc. So how the rating is: the Modi 70%, Lopez Obrador 64, Draghi 63%, Merkel 52%, Biden 48%, Trudeau 45%, Johnson 41%, Bolsonaro 39%, Moon 38%, Sanjit 35%, Macron, the French president 34%, Suga 25%. This is a graphics just already leaders. And if you see all the data, this is a long list. That Modi's disapproval rating also dropped to around the 25%, one of the lowest on the list. Morning Consult graph shown the PM Modi's disapproval rating reached a peak in May when the second wave of COVID hit the country hard. Now that the COVID situation in the country is steadily improving, even amid the threat of the third wave of the pandemic, PM Modi's disapproval rating has come down. The PM Modi approval rating was at peak at 4% in May 2020, just after the outbreak of the pandemic in India. So the Morning Council also calculates the approval and disapproval rating based on the 7 days moving average of all adults in a given country with a margin of error between 1 to 3%. Online interviews approximately 1 to 3 adults were sampled for the data for India and state-wise and country-wise. But this is just an introduction. This is widely published also, widely discussed also. Today, we are just going to discuss about the personality of Narendra Modi and how just India is going changing. So I'll just highlight the only points how they claim the India's, and then I'll take all of the panelists. ease of doing business, improving ease of living, and eliminating corruption, empowering youth with opportunities, and health for all. Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, first time in the industry, PMJ, infra for growth, and just mobility for middle class, and Nari Shakti for New India, prosperous farmers for prosperous India, and putting India first, and on defense sector, just you have see how you're improving, how the painting project of defense has been already started and initiated, renewed the focus on Northeast. First time the Northeast and so many projects, pending project last 20 years, 15 years has been already done. Social empowerment and taking development to the poorest and transformative economic growth and fights corona. And on the 17th, you have seen the on the 7th of birthday. I think that should be celebrated World Vaccination Day. 2 crore, more than 2 crore vaccination in one day in the world history, new record. So I'll take first Sudesh Vermaji, also a writer, author, and the national spokesperson of BJP. Sudeshji, how just to define that? Actually, whoever say just we are praising Modi, I don't care. What is the fact is fact before the world. So that's the start from
Yeah, Rakesh ji, first of
just
all,
you, please.
by 12 midnight yesterday, we had completed a world record which is 2.5 crore vaccination.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Great.
making record is something that always follows Modi ji. If you
Yeah.
remember when he was Chief Minister of Gujarat, so many records were made, so many records broken, because he always works on a scale. Because for a country which is such a hugely populated country, we are going to overtake China. And if you talk of one country that represents so much of so many people, such a vast number of people, population, then that country is India, isn't it? Democratic country, democratically elected. It should be actually, it's a miracle that how democracy is functioning here. And it should surprise even the West, because even in the United States, which is the citadel of democracy, individual freedom, the population is just 32 crore. So just imagine that a population of 135 plus crore celebrating democracy is a miracle that should be studied. And Modi ji represents that size of population in the world. So nobody in the world can ignore a leader who represents such a huge population. Also hugely popular in this country. You have seen the election trends, the way people love him. So naturally nobody can ignore him. And entire world, the way India is being taken now, because everybody in the world, Rakesh ji used to talk about India being a corrupt country, is at the lower ladder in terms of transparency, in terms of accountability. But you have seen the processes, you have seen how it has improved. Now we have a leader you can say that is incorruptible. So the whole world should celebrate. But instead of that, because they can't hide the fact that he's usually popular. So people like Farid Zakaria, they try to paint him as someone who has tried to push hardcore Hindutva agenda. If you ask me what is hardcore Hindutva agenda, I don't know. There is no Hindutva agenda. It's a country where 80% of population are Hindus. So their ethos, their culture should be celebrated. You cannot impose Islam on this 80% of Hindus, isn't it? That's the reality. And the country's ethos, the country's culture cannot ignore those things you call Hindu culture and civilization. And we say that who is a Hindu? Everyone who is born in this pious land is a Hindu. So even a Muslim or a Christian, he's a celebrated Hindu because his culture is that. I always tell my Muslim brethren, would you like to have a younger brother like Lakshman, or would you like to have a brother like Aurangzeb? And everybody says, no, we want to have Lakshman. So that's the culture. You may call your mother Ami or Abu, but the culture remains, that respect, remains for your parents, which you hardly see in other countries. So that is the cultural unity we all have. Modi ji has actually accentuated this, that people have started taking pride in our culture, which was there already, but that needed to be strengthened. Like, say, for example, yoga. Who thought that maximum number of countries in the UN will support Yoga Day? And Yoga
Yeah.
Day now is a reality. Everybody is celebrating yoga. So, to take India to the world, I have seen that the Indian diaspora is very happy. They're very proud that they have a prime minister, and India is no longer a country that will be known as snakes and ladders. Already, it has dominated the Silicon Valley. It has dominated the
May I
NASA, and you will see the way
have a
Howdy
quick
Modi
question?
happened. Howdy
Yeah.
Modi.
Yeah.
You remember, even rock stars don't get that kind of welcome, isn't it? So India cannot be ignored, whether you want to be there in South China Sea, whether you want to condemn terrorism, whether you want to talk of climate change, you cannot ignore India. So that is the position India has because of a very strong prime minister. He articulates very well and he minces no words. You remember the Chinese were the first, Rakesh, let me tell you, who used to say that Mr. Modi will become the prime minister. And they cultivated him when he was the chief minister. He was given red carpet welcome whenever he visited China. I am surprised that why China has spoiled his relations. Because Chinese businessmen are there in Gujarat. It had a wonderful one-to-one equation.
Every part of country, not in Gujarat. Every
Yeah,
part,
but
every part
perhaps
of country.
perhaps
Yeah.
China realized that they would not be able to fool Mr. Modi because he understands their design. So this imperial design was checkmated. So this is the way things are happening. We call a spade under Modi's leadership, and you have seen that how surgical strikes happened, which no government in this country could have ever thought of. They were so scared that you can't do that. They were scared of how Muslim population in this country will behave instead of trying to take action. So this is what Modi ji has done. We are very thankful that we have a leader who has such an international stature, which is going to go on further. Not only is the most popular, is the most powerful also, and every leader in the world wants to talk to him if they have to take a decision. COVID, the way things were managed outside India, he's getting a lot of praise. But inside India, because of political compulsions, political parties are trying to see things in a very, very bad light. But people are very smart, they know it, and they will support Modi ji. We are very certain on that also. Thank you, Rakesh ji.
Thank you, Sudesh ji. Rakesh Tiwari ji just figure out. Just I'll just take the Alok Lahar ji, but then you can just put your.
Yeah, let me my question, my very simple question to Sudesh ji, then Alok Larji can take it
नहीं
from
नहीं
me.
पहले
Just
आप
one
अपने
question.
अपना ओपिनियन तो दीजिए राकेश जी,
जी
क्वेश्चन
जी
तो बाद में.
जी मैं अपना
आप
ओपिनियन दे
कनाडा
देता
में
हूँ.
बैठे हैं, वहां
जी
तो
जी
खालिस्तान की बात नहीं हो रही, भारत में हो रही है.
हम
आज
तो
राजनाथ
हिंदुस्तान
सिंह
की
जी ने
बात
बोला कि भैया ये पूरा भारत आपका है, खालिस्तान क्यों मांग रहे हो?
अच्छा ही बात कही है. राजनाथ सिंह जी ने अच्छी बात कही है. पीछे तिरंगा जो लगा हुआ है वो इसकी गवाही दे रहा है कि हिंदुस्तानी हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर. लेकिन आपसे एक सवाल ये बनता है, आपने कहा कि हिंदुस्तान की पवित्र धरती पर, भारत की पवित्र धरती पर रहने वाला हर व्यक्ति जो है वो हिंदुस्तानी है. तो मेरा सवाल सिर्फ इतना सा है कि ये भारत जो है वो 1947 के बाद वाला भारत या पहले वाला भी भारत, जिसमें पाकिस्तान जो तथा, एक मिनट मैं अपनी बात पूरी कर लूं कुमार
सर
राकेश
मैं
जी, मेरा सवाल हो जाए कि
वी
क्या
आर गोइंग
लाहौर, कराची, इस्लामाबाद
राकेश
वो
तिवारी
भी
जी,
उसी
राकेश तिवारी
पवित्र धरती में आता है?
नहीं, मैं आपको
जी
इसलिए टोक रहा हूँ, जो हमारा जो सब्जेक्ट है टुडे जो डिस्कसिंग
मैंने
पॉइंट है.
सवाल कर दिया बस, वो उन्होंने चूंकि पायस धरती की बात कही है. जी
नहीं, पाइस धरती को पाइस तो है ही, वो सदैव रहेगा.
हाँ, तो मेरा मतलब ये है कि कराची, इस्लामाबाद, लाहौर भी पायस हुआ ना.
कोई
जी
दो मत नहीं है. बट वट एवर यू रेज
जी
द
जी
क्वेश्चन,
कुमार
हमारा जो
राकेश
सब्जेक्ट
जी
है
जी
आज
जी जी
फोकस्ड
जी
है ये.
मैं सब्जेक्ट पे आता हूँ.
I just नहीं, प्लीज इफ यू वांट टू पुट योर सब्जेक्ट इज द
नहीं
जो
मैंने
भारत
सिर्फ
है,
एक
जो
सवाल
इंडिया है,
उन्होंने कहा
आफ्टर
उसके
मोदी
ऊपर
और
बात
बिफोर
करें.
मोदी. No, after Modi and before Modi, we carry on discussion. No
जरूर
issue.
जरूर.
So their question was there. So Alok ji, whatever raised, also just Rakesh Tiwari ji, there is so many questions to be raised about the India, and that is a Bharat, and those so many blunders has been done by the past leaders and the past parties. Nobody can deny it. Fact is fact. Alok Ladi,
I didn't get your question.
how do you just analyze the country, the India that is a Bharat, before 2014 and after?
14 no?
Hey, I don't know, like where to start. I'll start off from where Sudesh ji left. First of all, thank you, Kumar Rakeshji, for inviting me for this program. And I just wanted to remind the gentlemen, fellow Palanists, that this program is in English. So if we keep jumping from one language to another, then I'll probably start speaking in Spanish. So
no problem. No problem.
let's keep it that.
No
Okay,
problem.
now, Sudeshji, what he said, like, I agree with him mainly on almost all the points, but he said that you cannot ignore Modi ji because he represents the second most populous country in the world. You don't, ignore or not ignore Modi ji because he represents, had he represented a small country like New Zealand, let's say, which has got very limited population, Modi ji is Modi ji. You cannot ignore him irrespective of what he represents.
Hate or love. Hate or love, but you can't ignore.
And how the politics has changed. I mean, one of the things which he said was, which is very, very correct. That is, he cannot be corrupted. And this is not something, Sudhirji is saying. This has been said by the president of North America, the most powerful person in the world. And that day when they said something like this, my ears just went like this. This meant, and then I started investigating that there could be prime ministers or world leaders who are paid by these very powerful and rich countries, and then they do in your country what they feel like. So in a way, by saying this, the American president was saying, we cannot have our way in India because on the top there is a very honest, a very nationalist, a very dedicated person sitting on that chair. So then, somebody from the opposition going to the Chinese embassy in the dark of the night and having, meetings there or dinners there, it makes the meaning, this whole thing, it gives it a different meaning altogether. And suddenly you realize why so many things were being imported from China and they were not being manufactured, and that the manufacturing sector was not being supported. And suddenly you see Modi ji coming up with this thing called Make in India. That is the difference. What is the difference is that the dynasty politics has been put on hold. That is the difference. People are getting delivered what they have been promised. There was a manifesto which was there, and one by one, there's this gentleman who's striking off that it will be 370 removed, or it will be 35A removed, or the Ram Temple, or whatever has been written there, GST implementation, whatever is written there. One by one, this gentleman, when we start off our day, we have things to do. So this guy is here with a plan. He knows where he wants to take the country. He's working very hard for it. And that is what, makes him different from the other politicians. What were the other politicians doing? Removing the taps from the government accommodation they got in when they went away. That's just an example to how cheap people could become. When you're the chief minister of the most populous or the biggest state in the country, if you are doing things like this, I mean, for this I would like to remember Rajiv Gandhi ji, who the day he lost the elections, he vacated the prime minister's house and went. That is some kind of honesty. I mean, I'm not going to get into the Bofors thing. I know the tirade would come up from there, but I'm just telling you a symbolical thing that, you should appreciate these kind of things. And when there are things, when you know that the family used to live in a 1/4 room and suddenly they own private jets. And this gentleman today, his brother is, making his living by putting gas.
Alok, just a time to break, and after break, I'll start from you, and then I'll take the Vivek call and Ajay Sharma and Rakesh Tiwari. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome back after break, and just Alok ji just saying about just how the Modi ji just prospered India and the other humanity parts of also. So Alok ji.
So I was saying that you have a prime minister whose brother is making his living by selling kites or working in a ration shop or putting gas in a gas station. That makes a hell of a lot of difference because people now see that what is really a honest prime minister. He reminds you of various prime ministers which India has been lucky to have or unlucky to have. Like, for example, he's got this statesmanship of Nehru. I know lots of BJP guys, they don't like Nehru and they're going to say that, he's done so many things. If somebody's sitting there on top, he's bound to make mistakes. I'm not saying he was the greatest prime minister India ever had, but he was there by luck or, whatever happened, he was there. But he was a great statesman in the sense that he gave a very interesting picture of India on the world scenario. Modi ji is beating him there. Decision making and tough decision making. Mrs. Gandhi could have been there. He's got all the qualities of Mrs. Gandhi. In case some very tough decisions have to be taken, he will going to take them. He's dead honest. He's dead honest, like Shastri ji was. So we have a combination of things which we have in him. And I would also like to remember, Farooq Abdullah's son. What's his name?
Umar Abdullah.
Umar Abdullah.
Yeah.
Umar Abdullah, when he won for the first time, when everybody had teamed against Mr. Modi, he said, let's prepare. He even tweeted, let's prepare for 2024. Because they
29.
knew one thing.
No, think for 2029.
No.
That's
He
what-
said 2024. I'm just repeating what he said. Now
Yeah.
he should be rewriting it as 2029.
Yeah.
So what he said was, it was very clear that if somebody like Modi came on the center stage of this country, people will taste what they have never tasted. I mean, earlier what happened was an MLA went there or an MP went to his village and he says, okay, let's get a hand pump fixed. And on the basis of that hand pump, they showed it as development. Now, what Modi ji has done is that he's changed the scenario so much that the expectation that people have today is so high that unless and until you're delivering to this level, you're not going to win elections. That is for sure. So that is what has changed. The expectations of the people, the dream which people had, the insight which you have, otherwise you were always suffering from this inferiority complex. Now you're proud of yourself. You know that there is somebody who's going to take care of you. This confidence which is building into the people, this will not be noticed. But then you see the self-confidence which Indians today are, full of, and not only in India. I can tell you,
Okay. Alok ji, I do know just about time limits also. Yeah, please.
Everybody living inside or outside India who's an Indian, he feels proud today, and that is because of that energy which this gentleman is pumping into us. Thank you so much.
So Rakesh Tiwari ji, whatever just stated by Alok Lahar ji, I think most of the point you maybe agree. If any point of disagree, you can put your voice, whatever you think about our global leader PM Modi ji.
Well, thank you so much, Kumar Rakesh ji. Let me say this. This I have declared it on my radio program here in Toronto during his first tenure from 2014 till 19. And I said he's a world leader, and people that time they were questioning his authority, and so much hoo-ha was going on at that time, and even they were predicting that 2019 he will lose, but definitely he emerged. Now, some of the things which my expectation, and not only my expectation, is there, but all the overseas Hindustanis and overseas Bharatiya, I will as you know my stand that I don't go for India word, because that's a colonial is kind of apartheid or whatever one word can be called, that it reminds me the imperialism of Britishers. So Bharati and Hindustani, I feel proud to say that. Now coming back to I will say my expectation on his birthday, and definitely heartiest congratulations we have done in our program over there as we came. But the question is about the being world leader. So I would like to see what's his opinion, and as he should be coming. not only about the Palestine conflict, about the conflict which is happening at the Russia's border, at the China Uyghur problem, or Balochistan, because a world leader got to have a worldview, which he has definitely. This side is not been exposed properly, or it was not practiced enough properly, because the world need the leadership. I don't see anybody in today's world stage, although some people are some head of states are at the equal number over there. I will say Putin. He has seen so many presidents of USA come and go, but he's over there. Whatever the way, yeah, he's doing it. And Prime Minister Modi has a very good personal relation, I would say, personal rapport with Xi Jinping, or with the Russian President Vladimir Putin, and so equally he has it among others too. I have seen yesterday video where the common people, of the world, you show them the picture of Pradhan Mantri Modi ji and PM Modi ji, and they will say, "Oh, this is Modi. Oh, he's a very strong leader." I'm talking about ordinary people. You show them, and they know that. Okay, so that makes him his people's leader. But I would like to see him, his views, as he has mentioned just about Afghanistan as well. And that perspective, I think Bharat has to take a decisive action and role. No more terrorism. And the flagship of anti-terrorism movement, history has given Modi ji's hand. He should march with it, and the world will follow. I really appreciate Alok when he mentioned, what a honest leader. No matter what you can criticize him this and there, but when the question comes about the honest leader, everybody fails other than him. Okay, so and a lot of things can be talked about it. There's no comparative leader, not only in my understanding in Bharat right now at this moment. Okay, not as tall with the character, with the work, with his ethics, with clear viewpoint. I'll say he become a decisive in this way that the history will be known. I don't want to praise him, but the words are coming from my heart. The history will be known before Modi and after Modi. That's what he made the landmark. People have supported him. Advani ji has never thought, he was in tears when he mentioned, "Oh my God, I never thought I will see 282 seats, or BJP will be coming itself as a power, and by itself it will be governing." But now the second term, over 300 seats and coming more. Definitely one issue I will do say, the BJP, and where Sudesh Sharma ji is representing BJP, please take care of the corruption. Please take care of the red tape. We outside. We are over 35 million people who are by heart, they are Hindustani and Bharati. When they come, they see that, and we become disheartened. Okay, please. That's my message. Thank you so much, and I'm so good to be here among the friends, and because I think 21st century from now onwards is Bharat century, Hindustan century. Thank you.
Okay. So just on the trade part and business part, as just Assistant Secretary General of the ASSOCHAM, the big organization of the business front and the oldest organization, Ajay Sharma ji, how does you think the trade between the different countries, and how on the economic front, how India has been raised after, although some other parts has been criticized, India is going to the backyards, not prosperity is not going up, and so many criticisms also some of the opponents.
Ji, very good evening, Rakesh ji, and to all my dear fellow panelists and the audience. Rakesh ji, I think you have again, touched a very, very topic which is very apt today, because the nation has been celebrating our beloved Honorable Prime Minister's birthday yesterday with the theme Seva Evam Sampan Abhiyan. And this is a very, very integral part of this government, the word Seva. While you would expect me to talk about the economic policies and the initiatives, I would like to draw your kind attention. And before I do that, I must tell you that what we have seen today in Punjab, I could not resist the temptation to say that captain is a nice person, however, he's in the wrong team. So I just
Wrong
made a
party.
comment on what happened in Punjab.
Wrong party.
Wrong
Right
part,
person,
wrong team,
wrong
captain.
person.
I said about captain and the team. So I did not mention the party, I said team.
Okay.
So coming back to the Honorable Prime Minister's achievement, and you very rightly said that the nation, and even our Rakesh ji very aptly said that, nation, times to come, the people will, evaluate, the time before Prime Minister Modi and after, like you have BC and AD, and you very rightly put it in your today's theme. Honorable Prime Minister, the Modi government has just completed 7 years, Rakesh ji. And we have some of the achievements I wanted to bring and highlight and reiterate. There are ways to assess, the kind of achievements he has done. As an example, the numbers reached in flagship schemes are quite extraordinary. For example, banking the unbanked through the Jan Dhan Yojana, 42 crore bank accounts, and thus taking financial inclusion to every home in India. Funding the unfunded through Mudra Yojana, 29 crore loan sanctions and rupees 15 lakh crore dispersals, and thus seeding an entrepreneurial revolution. Digitizing the undigitized through UPI, 25 billion real-time transactions in 2020, and thus making India the largest digital payments ecosystem in the world. However, Rakesh ji, beyond these remarkable numbers, there is one other way to assess the success or otherwise of Modi, the changes in our national character. And what are these changes? I would like to illustrate. First, Prime Minister Modi ji has very successfully altered the way central governments used to understand economic policy making. Before Modi, they almost exclusively focused on macroeconomics and the glamour associated with it, while relegating microeconomics to the background or at best to state governments. That is why even after more than 66 years of independence, the country was still struggling to electrify all its villages or make healthcare affordable to all. Modi ji has corrected this imbalance. So ensuring that every house gets a tap water connection is now as much a priority as framing a policy framework for privatization or creating a new paradigm for the agriculture sector with the new farm laws. To his credit, Prime Minister Modi has been able to make stellar progress in these domains. Secondly, Prime Minister Modi ji has forever changed the mindset of only expecting second best delivery from central governments. The people of this country will no longer be satisfied with laggards or followers. If the world develops an efficacious vaccine to combat COVID-19 in less than a year, then we now expect India to be leading that race with not just homegrown vaccines, but also administering at a pace that is among the fastest in the world. Even Sudesh ji illustrated that today. Thirdly, Prime Minister Modi ji has changed and acquired character of last 70 years, which backed down when faced with a powerful adversary. China, used to having ways of one belt, one road initiative to the South China Sea, was stared down into retreating from Doklam and Pangong Lake, from climate change negotiations to free trade agreements, and from large multinational corporations used to bulldozing their way to global thinking tanks, pretending to sway Indian discourse. Everyone has realized that this India of 2021 is not the India they knew pre-2014. Fourth, one of the most significant changes has been our foreign policy. It is no longer about moral science lectures, but is now driven purely through the prism of hardcore national interest. Real politics, divorced from grandstanding, is now part of the arsenal, and we have seen it, whether it was surgical strike or whether it is on the Doklam border. We have seen how this Prime Minister has been committed. He has been so determined. Fifth, respect for private enterprise and legitimate profit seeking is no longer a taboo. Somebody spoke about corruption. Yes, he is a leader who does not zero tolerance for corruption. Yet at the same time, he believes in transparency. The defense that Modi ji himself mounted for entrepreneurs, terming them as nation builders. This is the first time the Honorable Prime Minister has mentioned that, the business community is the national builders. In Parliament is already getting translated into policy and in time may become his most significant economic contribution yet. Sixth, Rakesh ji, I'll just take 5 more minutes. The work done empowering women and freeing them from clutches of social constraints, from administering India's most important union ministries to permanent commission in the armed forces. Recently, we have seen also that. From establishing crores of small and micro enterprises to corporate boardrooms, and most important, from freedom from regressive instant like triple talaq to legitimate rights.
Ajay,
But last point, seventh, last point, Rakesh ji. And perhaps defining the long-lasting contribution of Prime Minister Modi ji is the way he has managed to fuse our glorious civilizational heritage with our modern impulses And this nation now celebrates the construction of Prabhu Ram as exuberantly as it rejoices in the success of ASAT mission or awaits the launch of
Yeah.
Gaganyaan. And last but not the least, the Prime Minister-led government, and this is very important, Rakesh. I just wanted everybody to just let me just have patience. The Prime Minister Modi-led government is the only government in decades to have been elected with full majority. Now, this itself is, a land. It's a milestone. This is the only Prime Minister who has been re-elected with a larger mandate. As the nation battles through the second COVID-19 wave, the appropriate way for Modi government to mark its 7th anniversary would be to rededicate itself to the seva. And this is what this government is now focusing and dedicating. That we are not talking about governance and administration. We are talking about seva, service of the people of this country. This would not just be in tune with the current national imperative, but would also be a fitting tribute to the people who voted in this government. After all, would not permanently change the role of governments from ruling to seva, be the most stellar achievement of our beloved Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji.
So nice of you, just elaborated each and every point, highlighted on the economic fronts and whatever they have been doing and they are doing. But there is also questions from the sub audiences and other parts. I'll take the answer from Sudesh Vermaji and you also, as an authoritarian on the BJP, whatever work done or not. Number one. Number two, before just submitting the first round, I'll take the Dr. Vivek call, just living in Oxford, London. He is also by profession surgeon and old, genuine Kashmiri, and how just fled India from just to just settle in UK, and what's the reason behind it? One, and also when he reacted just yesterday, also just wrote an article what he feel about the Modiji works after the long time. So, Dr. Vivek Kaul, just how do you analyze the situation after Modi ji came in the power in India? And what is the 2 or 3 points just you highlight, please? What is different from the last or past government? You have seen all the, just unmute yourself, Dr. Vivek Kaul. Unmute yourself, please. Yeah, just unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry.
Please.
Sorry.
Now,
I was saying that I've been following India since 1970s. When I was young, my father used to teach me, make me understand what is happening to the country, what is Bhutto doing, what is Indira Gandhi doing in a nice way. And it really helped me very early. So like fragrance, sincerity and honesty cannot be hidden. You cannot hide sincerity, honesty. It's just like a good fragrance. You cannot. You can know before Modi, the type of prime minister we were having were all, corrupt or, were made corrupt or they were looking the other way. Like Shastri is still known to the younger generation because he was honest. So honesty is one thing you cannot hide. It is a sincerity. A person who is very, sincere in the office can never be hidden by anyone. So same thing with Modi ji. I'm a very unbiased person. If he did something wrong, I will tell you. But I will tell you 2 great things what he did, which nobody did. My father used to say 1971 and India's Pokhran atomic energy, blast in 1974 were 2 great moments in India's history. I can tell you removing 370 was a bigger moment because every prime minister had succeedingly in successive generation failed to address it. They were looking the other way. They were finding fault, saying that we cannot do it. The assembly has to come. Then they will making all kind of jalebis, as I call it, but not addressing the issue. The IS officer were thrown it. Even Sori Solabji, I remember 10 years back saying nobody can touch it. Farooq Abdullah saying nobody can touch it, is legally blah, blah, blah. But what he did on the 5th of August in a planned manner is, I'm telling you, you will not in your lifetime see a moment like this. We may go, we Indians might walk on the moon, that might be bigger than this. But till now, removing 370, I can tell you because I am from Kashmir. I have lived with the 97% of the hostile population. They always thought they had, son-in-law treatment. Nobody could touch it. So now see the other flip side of it. It has been removed. Their back is broken. I can see Kashmiris, I don't have to talk to Kashmiris. I can see with the eyes. We have special eyes. We can know what is happening. It's completely shattered. They don't even now they have not come up to the terms that what India has done. They had never believed something like this will ever happen. They were given guarantees by successive governments that nothing will happen. So what has happened? Good thing has happened is almost terrorism has vanished, because there is no they know that this guy Modi can do anything. So once you break their kind of mental makeup about terrorism, so they are not still coming to terms with it. What has happened now is that they are happy that if I talk to my Kashmiri, these kind of friends in Kashmir, they don't want to talk about it. They think this has not happened. It's like this thing didn't happen. Let us talk something about good, about tourism. Come to me next year. Let us go enjoy in the mountains and lakes. They do not want to talk about 5th August 2019. They have forgotten it. So that is inside information I'm giving you. The other thing which nobody could have done, which I had told some Congress people in late 80s, kindly demonetize India. So at least the black money can vanish and the fake currency can vanish. They're saying no, it cannot be done. Blah blah blah. I still remember those faces. They were very close to prime ministers. This guy who has done this, even RBI is lying. The amount of fake currency in circulation in India was in thousands and thousands of crores. In Kashmir, one of my this raw person had told me 25,000 crore fake currency was in circulation. So that amount only very few people know. Modi ji knows the correct amount, but RBI maybe is a part of the old regime. He said only few percentage, but it broke the back of the terrorist, and the funding of the terrorist was completely removed. There was no money. In Kashmir also, the stone throwing and all that went down because the money was, fake currency was completely removed. So if you ask me, I don't take much time. I'm a surgeon. I do operate and then go home early. So I can tell you two things about him. Removing Article 370 and demonetization have been the greatest movement in the modern Indian history. Full stop.
Okay, thank you. So nice of you. I take the second round. The Sudesh Verma ji. Now, just you heard, listen carefully and patiently all. And
May I
I'm
pose my
coming to
question
Rakesh
for
Tiwari.
Sudesh ji? Again, repeat. I hope because in this circle maybe he didn't use it.
Please, you are okay, Tiwari.
Just that question because he's going to answer it.
Please,
So my question, I'm just repeating my question. Number one, as I said that, and I am putting a logic to China has not accepted Taiwan till now. China has not accepted. And we know very well, and I'm on here, I'm saying it, as long the Pakistan and the Pakistan will be there, India will be under the circumstances where it is. And when you mentioned, sir, that Bharat is a pious land. So is that pious land extends till the boundaries of Pakistan as well? And all those people, would you call them Hindustani who live even in Pakistan? That's my direct question. Please, I will really appreciate Sudesh ji.
मैं कोशिश करता हूँ. Let me try to answer your question.
Please.
First of all, before that, let me remind you, this could be a reference book for you if you have not read it. I'm sure you must have read it. Sri Iyer has written a book, Who Painted My Money White? Kindly read that book and you will know what was the extent of black money, how it was being done, what was the role of Chidambaram. You must read it to understand. India as a government cannot own it because you have to keep up the image. We are not banana republic, isn't it? That is my comment on that demonetization. You will know why it happened. Second, coming to your issue about Pakistan and all that, you see, these people chose under influence of Islam. They chose that their link was Ghazni. Their link was not Lord Sri Ram. If they decide that Lord Sri Ram is their faith, who is stopping them? They can always come back to their faith. We call it Ghar Wapsi. Everybody can do that, isn't it? After all, we belong to the same race. We have the same DNA. But why have a different religion that doesn't allow you to live in peace? We don't understand that all across the globe. So accept Prabhu Sri Ram as your forefather, come under the banner, and of course you're welcome. But this rabid Islamic terrorism, no question of welcoming you. You have found your link with Ghaznavi, you have found your link with Tamil. We don't accept that. Very clear. Now coming to international policy of Modi ji. Tell me, there has to be right platform, isn't it? at the SCO meeting, Modi ji took the strongest stand against Taliban, isn't it? You see, he is a member of the Quad also. India is a member of the Quad also, SCO also, and you cannot imagine a restructured UN without India, without Brazil, without South Africa, isn't it? So, democratization of UN has to take place in proportion. That is why I'm stressing on population. You cannot ignore such a huge mass of population. By very dint of that strength, India needs to be there at the UN, isn't it?
Okay.
We have the second largest military power. We are nuclear power. Now we are also exporting arms to people, to countries, isn't it? You know that we are manufacturing, we are sending what do you call bulletproof jackets to 100 countries. That never happened before. It was because of corruption that why it was these things were not manufactured in the country. So entire
Correct.
policy also depends on your military strength, on your blue water navy, isn't it? All these things are being strengthened. Our borders have to be secured, whether it is land border, whether it is water border. Then only you can play that role which you deserve in the committee of the nation. You cannot beg.
Excellent.
I think Rakesh Tiwari ji,
Started.
I think your question has been answered now. Actually, just taking the
My
time.
my question was not directly he has answered, indirectly he did try.
I have answered.
Did he call all the Pakistanis as a Hindustani?
Tiwari
Can you
ji.
call them Hindustani? They are all Hindustanis,
No,
right?
Tiwari ji,
Would you?
Tiwari ji, already
Let
known,
them
just
call
we are
themselves
discussing.
Hindustani, not us. Let them call themselves Hindustani. Let
They
them
will
say
call
Prabhu Ram
Hindustani.
is our
That's
Purvaj,
that's
not
that's the
Gajani.
difference comes. That's the difference comes. But one more question I have it on the corruption
Rakesh Tiwari ji,
and
you
the black
invite him to the
money
program.
which was promised, and the BJP has been
Tiwari ji,
criticized for that. If you can say something about it.
You invite him to your program. Don't ask these questions in Kumar Rakesh's program.
Sir,
Okay.
when I have a
No
chance to
issue.
ask question, I can ask what I want
No,
to.
no,
No,
no
no.
issue.
This
No,
is not.
no
This
issue.
is not
So
okay.
just welcome Bandana ji from Chicago, USA. Just he was late. She was late. Some reasons. So Vandana ji, just we're discussing about the as you know the global. I say this is my the global leader PM Narendra Modi and
Acha,
Bharat
Rakesh ji,
before and
I'll beg
after.
your leave. I have to go to another channel.
Just
Please don't mind.
3 minutes only. 3 minutes. Just you leave. Just
I Namaskar everybody and good afternoon. I'm just coming from downtown Chicago. We left in the morning at 8 o'clock. We
oh
were
my
in
God.
front of the Pakistani consulate doing a protest for the abduction of the girls. Every day we are seeing that the girls number 3. So this has to be told to the world. Today being Saturday morning, the weather has been very cooperative. So that's why I'm just joining you now. And
Great. So nice of you. Thank you. Thank
as
you.
you talked about the prime minister, we're just celebrating his 71st birthday. First of all, wish him good luck, good health, so he can do more. But much more is expected from this strong leader, because the time we don't have that kind of time that we can afford to lose. Lot is done, but lot much is really needed when we talk about it. And when world is accepting, can you believe it? I will show you a picture that I showed it to somebody right there on downtown Chicago. I said, do you know his name is Mike, he lives in Des Plaines. He said, oh yeah, this is we know the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He is India's Prime Minister. He's a very strong leader. So this is kind of recognition, and we take pride in that, and we wish him
Yeah, we
all the
spoke
best
about
and
it.
good
Yes,
luck.
excellent.
Yeah.
So nice of you.
Sir,
Just
Sir Rakesh ji, with your permission, a small suggestion to the BJP spokesperson. He looks very erudite and very, really respect him. I just want a simple way of corruption is just open a hotline of ordinary people talking in a hotline, whosoever is taking bribe, whether it be Hafta or whether it be anyone, a simple hotline will bloody remove the fear of these, haram khors who are taking rishwat in India. I'm telling you, a simple hotline. Please
okay.
tell it to the
Okay.
BJP
So nice of
parliamentary
you.
party
So
and all
nice
that.
of you, Dr. Vivek. Call your suggestion and how you so fed up with the last government and just as a Kashmiri, so that there are a lot of
Correct.
questions and a lot of expectations, as our Modi ji said so many times. Just whenever just abused by so many societies, anti-India, anti-Modi, just they take it the positive way and just to take as an energizer. Just just they don't believe the criticism and only just they take the criticism and the positivity. So that is the strength of the Modi ji. And in London, we were calling, you must know, that is a question by the Prasoon Joshi in the London event. So how just you command yourself and control yourself? That there is so many questions and expectations about the leader. And here Sudesh ji, the first author also on the Modi ji game changer. That's why I called him, and Ajay Sharma ji already keep it on the economic policy, and Rakesh.
Thank you very much. They were really,
Alok ji,
very nice,
and
speakers.
and Vandana ji, so after the long just driving, I can understand, and so I struggle just
She looks
for
tired.
India, living in the USA. I look tired, but so in his eyes always inject the energy, so full of
She
positive.
could do with a masala chai.
No, whatever is but this is not time for masala chai. This is for the masala something just to energize.
Tomorrow we are doing a laddu celebration for Prime Minister Modi's birthday.
So nice.
For your.
So nice
Very
of you.
good.
So
Very
thank you.
good.
Thanks to all.
Very
And
nice.
Tiwari,
Very nice.
we'll take your question in the next program, whatever is there. And I think you will satisfy with the all answer by our Sudesh Vermaji and other leaders also. So India is full of the prosperity and perspective also. So nice of you, all panelists who just participated in our show. And salute to you also.
खत्म
and
हो गया
salute
यार,
our
मजा नहीं
leaders
आया
also.
यार.
Sir, please, so this is a time limitation, and already, sir, the time is come.
मजा
and
नहीं
you will
आता,
take
sir.
your- No, please, sir.
अभी तो
I
शुरू
know
हुआ था.
actually, just take the name Modi ji is full of energy. So always take. Everybody wants.
I know,
take the
time
energy.
flies. Time really flies. Yeah, 1 घंटा हो गया. Yes, time flies.
Yeah. So this is already we had just this did for 35 minutes, but this is all the 51 minutes. So you can understand the binding of time of the program also. So
Correct,
nice
correct.
of you, and thanks all of you just to participate
Thank
program.
you, everybody.
And salute you and salute you about the global leader PM Narendra Modi.
Thank you.
And just for the going India Bharat is going change, a new game changer for the world development as well as the politics. Thank you, and Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Jai Hind, Jai Hind.